Hi everyone, this is Mindy Egan for Concord and Ninth. Thanks for joining me today. I am introducing to you the Pumpkin Builder dies. These dies create the most adorable geometric pumpkins that you can use for decorations. You can really customize these to decorate your house, maybe match your furniture or your Halloween decorations by using your cardstock or pattern paper. There's the examples on the back, and in this set, it creates a small, medium, and large pumpkin. Here we have the small. You can see this one would fit perfectly inside the palm of my hand. Then we have a medium size. This one is just a little bit larger. And this one also pretty much fits in the size of my hand. I don't have the exact measurements offhand. I'm sure Concord and Ninth will have those measurements listed on their website. And then we have a larger one. So the small, medium, large, great little collection that you can add a pairing onto your mantle or to add onto your entertainment centers. So great for decorating up for the fall season. A couple tools I would recommend having on hand are going to be a set of tweezers, a bone folder, and then a strong liquid adhesive. Now, I am going to be creating a pumpkin out of the Harvest Home pattern paper set. This is an 8.5 by 11 set. There's 18 sheets, and you have 2 each of 9 designs. Here's a look at the back of the paper pack that shows you the different designs. And then I am going to quickly kind of walk through them to show you the different patterns. I believe just looks different than looking at the back of a page. We have a nice bold floral print. We have this yellow stripe. We have some orange polka dot that I think would look super cute with the pumpkins. We have kind of this houndstooth. Then there's also this light blue. It's like a grid paper. There's going to be some plaid, so it's got some orange and yellow mixed in there for the plaid. Then we have another bold floral print in this light blue and dark blue. One of my favorites is this pinstripe, so it's like that pebble gray with a thin white pinstripe. And then another favorite is going to be this buffalo plaid in that orange. So to show you what each of these dies look like cut out, here I have 2 sets of the large leaf and the small leaf. Those thin strips are going to be what we attach our leaf to, so kind of like the stem that's going to attach to the top of our pumpkin. So I just die cut out a few different variations. Now these, they kind of look like cupcake holders, but really it's going to be the tops for the pumpkin, and these shapes are going to be the base that we attach those tops to. So I die cut those out of nutmeg and wheat. You can totally change it up to what fits your style and your color combinations. Now these shaped dies, the one on the left-hand side there on the die set, this is the small pumpkin. And these are what's going to create the shape of our pumpkin. We need 6 of them. So whether you're doing the small, medium, or large, you will need 6 of these. I did the smallest one out of pink lemonade. This one is out of pebble that I plan on making later on, but I have my die cut pieces ready to go. And then for my large pumpkin, I decided to do this buffalo plaid. I think is going to look really fun, and spoiler alert, I was right. It looks really cool. So I have 6 of those pieces die cut out and ready to go. So the first thing you are going to want to do before you do any adhering is you're going to take a bone folder and you're going to add a curve to the side of those die cut pieces. This is the pieces for the pumpkin. This is the large, and you're really going to want to roll it. So you want to have that curve in there to help give our pumpkin shape. Now, this is really easy to do with your pattern paper. I have done it with cardstock too. It's easy to do with the cardstock. You just might need to apply a little bit more pressure with the cardstock. Now, the bottom of our pumpkin is going to be that large hexagon, and the top of our pumpkin is going to be the small hexagon. And this is going to help layer up your pumpkin very easily. So I added some liquid glue over that area of my hexagon, and I'm bringing my second piece so it's straight across. This is going to be the easiest way. You can certainly try out different ways and angles of applying it, but I found going straight across is going to be the easiest to get my hands in between. So I'm holding that down. I'm adding some more liquid glue. I'm going to layer on my third piece, this time kind of going at a little bit of an angle, and I'm matching up all of those sides. All these pieces fit together regardless of how you're rotating it. It's going to fit together nicely. Add some more of that liquid adhesive, come in with our fourth piece. Now you're going to notice that there's going to be gaps, and that's totally fine. It is a paper pumpkin. It doesn't have to be perfectly enclosed. And I actually found that leaving gaps is going to be super helpful when we go to start sealing it together. So now I'm adding more liquid glue, just kind of layering each one on top of the other. I do kind of push down a little bit to secure it in place. Liquid glue does dry. It gives you a little bit of wiggle room, but it does dry pretty quick, and it has a super great hold when it comes to these paper pumpkins. So now I'm going to come to my last layer. Once again, I'm going to add on that liquid glue over the bottom of my pumpkin area and attach my last piece. Now, when it comes to the smaller pumpkin, it does get a little bit trickier. I would say if you're going to start with any size, start with the largest one because you have the most room to work with. So I'm kind of just taking my hand and going straight down to apply that pressure, make sure that my liquid glue is securely attached. Now we're going to do the same thing with the top. So that's just what the bottom looks like. It's looking really good because we have all of that pattern paper. And now we can start sealing it up. So once again, applying that liquid glue. And now I'm going to start I'm not bending, but I'm just kind of folding that in a little bit. So it's going to still line up. Each of these hexagons is still going to line up. Now I'm going to just kind of pinch that together with my fingers for a few seconds. You can see I'm also holding it there on the left-hand side as I bring the other one over the top. So for each one, this one in particular, I would say to work in that order, not going straight across from each other. Work your way around the pumpkin. It's going to be easier to hold down that top with one hand and bringing that other side in. Now, as I start getting closer to finishing it off, I do kind of hold it together a few seconds longer because I'm running out of room to place my hand. I'm not quite fitting in there, which is why I suggested starting with the largest pumpkin first. So now that those are mainly secure, I'm going to come in with that last piece, kind of bend that in a little bit, hold that down for a few extra seconds. And one of the reasons I said that gap was really helpful is I can bring in my tweezers and I'm going to clip that. Now these are reverse tweezers. So it's going to hold that in place and then I just flip it upside down and I'm going to let that sit and dry completely. So while that's drying, we're going to work on the leaves. Now the leaves all have these marks in them or the indents. That's where our folds are going to be. And the way it was designed, it was going to be an accordion fold. The best way I found to do this is I started in the middle and folded it to create my mountain. Then I'm going to skip one line, go to the next one, make a mountain. Skip a line, then go to the next one, fold and make a mountain. It was just easier than trying to go back and forth because some of these areas can be pretty snug. So once I have all the mountains done on each side, then I can come in and do the valley. So I will push down kind of with my fingernail, push down, fold to make that valley, and just continue through until I have that accordion fold going across the leaf. Now that's going to be the same on the smaller leaf as well. You can go through and make your mountains and valleys to create that accordion fold. And this just really goes nicely with our pumpkin. It has that geometric feel to it. The cardstock that I'm using today for my leaves is avocado and lemongrass. And I really love how these kind of yellow greens tie into the pumpkins. Now that I have all my folds done, I'm going to attach my stem. So I flipped the leaf over. I added a dab of glue. I'm going to take that strip and I'm going to add it right behind there and then hold that with my tweezers. So it's really good that I have like 4 pairs of tweezers on my desk because I was putting them all to use. And I'm going to let that sit and dry. Now you can decide on how long you want your stem. You can always trim it off depending on the length that you want. Now, while those are drying, we can work on our stems. So on these, you can see that the die provided these score lines, which was the word I was looking for before. I couldn't think of it. It has these score lines that the die provided, and we are going to go through and just fold all of those in the same direction. So kind of like a cupcake holder, just go all the way around. This is going to make the stem at the bottom of it are 3 tabs, and we want to fold those in. Now the stems that I have here, I did one set from Nutmeg and I did another from Wheat cardstock. And we have 2 different sizes, a large and a small. Now we have those other shapes. We have those hexagon shapes. We have 3 different sizes for those, for small, medium, and large stems. I'm folding in those tabs at the bottom. Now we can seal up our stem. So I'm adding liquid glue to one of the panels and connecting these two. This one you may need to sit and let that, especially the small one, you might want to sit for a minute or two, kind of secure that so it holds down really well. But the liquid glue does give you that little bit of wiggle room to match up those two sides. So I want this to dry before I do anything of attaching it to a base. So while I'm waiting, there is a die that is this long strip that it creates. This adds, I'm going to call it curly cues, but these add some curls, like your vines that are coming from your pumpkins. I used a paintbrush. You can use a pencil, whatever it is, to add that curl. Just like if we were doing wrapping presents, you just want to add that little bit of curl to it. So now that my stems are dry, I have those tabs that I'm adding the liquid glue to, and I'm going to place this on top of my base. Now here's a little trick that I discovered after I finished the small one. I'm lining this up with the points. I'm going to kind of push down at the top with my finger, not too hard because it is just paper. And then I have a paintbrush, and I'm taking the end of my paintbrush, excuse my head, but I'm pushing down on those tabs in the inside so that it's going to help secure that down, because otherwise it's kind of hard. You can't really get in there. So I'm waiting for those to dry. I can come in and start attaching my vines at the top. I'm going to do this before I add my stem. I'm attaching my leaves, and I'm also attaching that vine. Let those sit for a minute. And then I can come in with that liquid glue, add it to the very top, and come in with the base. So I'm going to add, or the base of the stem, I should say. So that flat portion is going to go right on top of our pumpkin to create the stem. I did take my tweezers and kind of apply pressure from underneath. Once again, kind of thankful that I have some gaps in there to get in there and apply that pressure. Now, how super cute is that? I love these out of pattern paper. I think this would make a great assortment. I can't wait to make more from that pattern paper collection and all the different sizes of these pumpkins. And I know you're going to have a ton of fun creating these. And that's a closer look at the pumpkin builder dies.